Have you ever poured your entire soul into a relationship, only to find out the person you trusted most was living a double life? That was Mark's reality. He and Sarah were the picture-perfect couple, high school sweethearts who had built a beautiful life together over 15 years. They had a cozy home, two amazing kids, and what Mark believed was an unbreakable bond. He worked tirelessly as a software engineer to provide for his family, believing every sacrifice was a brick in the foundation of their shared future. Sarah, a freelance graphic designer, seemed to be the perfect partner, always supportive, always loving. Or so he thought. The first crack in their perfect facade appeared subtly. Sarah started working late more often. Her phone became an extension of her hand, always angled away from him. When Mark asked, she'd just smile and say, "Oh, just a demanding new client, honey. You know how it is." He'd nod, pushing down the tiny knot of unease in his stomach. He trusted her. Why wouldn't he? She was his Sarah, his rock. He'd even surprise her with her favorite takeout on those late nights, just to see her smile. But the smiles seemed a little more forced, a little less bright. The late nights turned into weekend work retreats. The first time Mark was sad but supportive. He handled the kids, the house, everything, telling himself it was for her career. But then another retreat came, and another. The kids started asking, "Why is Mommy always working?" Mark would deflect, making excuses for her, but the questions echoed his own growing doubts. He started noticing other small things. A new, expensive perfume he hadn't bought her. Whispered phone calls she'd quickly end when he walked into the room. Each one was a small paper cut on his heart. He tried to talk to her to bridge the growing distance between them. "Sarah, is everything okay? You seem distant." She would just brush it off. "Don't be silly, Mark. I'm just stressed with work. We're fine." But her eyes wouldn't meet his. He felt like he was talking to a stranger wearing his wife's face. The unease was no longer a knot. It was a cold, heavy stone in his gut. He wanted to believe her. He desperately did. But his intuition was screaming that something was terribly wrong. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. Mark got off work early, planning to surprise the kids. As he pulled into the driveway, he saw a sleek, unfamiliar sports car parked out front. His heart hammered against his ribs. He walked in quietly, hearing laughter from the living room. Not Sarah's usual laugh, but a light, flirtatious giggle he hadn't heard in years. He peeked around the corner, and his world shattered. There was Sarah, wrapped in the arms of another man, a man he vaguely recognized as one of her clients. They weren't discussing design layouts. The air was sucked from his lungs. It was a scene from a movie, a nightmare he couldn't wake up from. He just stood there, invisible in his own home, watching the woman he had promised forever to give her heart to someone else. The betrayal was a physical blow, knocking the wind out of him, leaving him gasping for air that felt thick with lies. He quietly backed out of the house, the image burned into his mind. He drove for hours, with no destination, the perfect family photos on his phone now looking like cruel jokes. That night, he confronted her. He didn't yell. He didn't scream. His voice was eerily calm, hollowed out by the pain. "Who is he, Sarah?" The color drained from her face. The lies finally stopped. The truth came tumbling out in a torrent of excuses and tearful, selfish apologies. It wasn't a one-time mistake. It had been going on for months. The late nights, the work retreats. It was all a lie. She said she felt neglected, that Mark was always working. The excuses felt like salt in an open wound. He hadn't been working for himself. He had been working for them, for their future. In that moment, Mark saw everything with painful clarity. The woman he loved, the life he had built, it was all an illusion. The promises of forever were just words, empty and broken. He realized that love isn't just about promises, it's about actions, loyalty, and respect. And she had failed on every count. The initial shock gave way to a cold, hard resolve. He couldn't fix this. He couldn't unsee what he had seen or unhear the lies. Staying would mean betraying himself. The days that followed were a blur of lawyers, difficult conversations, and telling the children. It was the hardest thing he had ever had to do. But with every step he took away from his broken marriage, he felt a small piece of himself returning. He focused on his kids, pouring all his love and energy into being the stable parent they needed. He started therapy, learning to process the grief and betrayal. He rediscovered old hobbies, reconnected with friends Sarah had pushed away, and slowly, painstakingly, began to rebuild his life from the rubble. It wasn't easy. There were nights filled with loneliness and days where the anger felt overwhelming. But Mark learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let go. He learned that his worth wasn't defined by someone else's inability to love him faithfully. He found strength he never knew he had. Today, Mark is not just a survivor. He's thriving. He's a more present father, a stronger man, and he's found a quiet, steady happiness on his own terms. His story is a powerful reminder that even after the deepest betrayal, you can find your way back to the light and build a new future, one that is truly your own. Thank you for watching this story unfold. If this resonated with you, please give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more content. We'll see you in the next one.